Hello, everybody. Reggie Time here, and today we're going to be looking at some hands I played at the 10 full ring Ante games on the GG Poker website. This is not my normal game. For those of you who don't know, most of you who are regular to the channel will know by now. I play mostly in private games in app clubs. Excuse me, um, where the lowest stake is 50 NL. The best players are mostly worse than me, and there's lots of really, really bad players, and that's why I'm there. But I am also trying to coach my 25-year-old son in the dark arts of poker. He's only been playing 9 months. He's improving, but still long, long, long way to go. So we're using these hands to try and give him a good strategy. And the strategy I'm trying to give him is hopefully based quite strongly on the Hungry Horse method. Any of you don't know of, haven't heard of Hungry Horse, search him on YouTube, Hungry Horse Poker. His content is absolutely fantastic. In my opinion, there's no one making free content anywhere near as good as he is. It's not even close. Everyone else may as well just pack up and go home. He's really good, which then begs the question, why am I making this video other than to shill for the club I'm in? For the club I'm in, if you'd like to maybe get involved, there's a link beneath the video, both on Facebook and in the comments on Facebook and beneath the video on YouTube. Click the link on the page. You'll find more of my content there where I'm reviewing actual hands from the games I'm in, usually 3 or 4 times a week. The Hungry Horse method generally is very easy to learn, not as easy to master because there is nuance to it. There's obviously nuance to all the hands that you get involved in, but it gives you a really good template for a massive percentage of the spots you find yourself in. And we're going to try and explain that as we go along today without spending too long on each hand. So here we've got 2 10s, call or squeeze here. I don't mind which. Hungry Horse would definitely be squeezing here versus a raise and a call. I don't really mind which we do. Yeah, not too fussed. We do go with the call this time. We get squeezed, but to a small size by a player that's very likely to be, at best, a tight recreational, and given this size, at worst, just a shit player. More than likely, he's just going to be shit, because obviously this size is highly inappropriate. It's a multi-way pot. There's shed loads of antes in the middle. There's been a 3x open 2 callers, and he hasn't even made it 9 blinds out of position. It's a horrific size. So we can easily assume that is dog shit. We're about to call, closing the action, I would imagine. Can't see me reopening here. And we flop top set. We now get led into by the pre-flop raiser, who then just called the squeeze after the 3-better checks. This is a very unusual spot. I mean, how often in your games, unless you're playing in these games too, unless you're playing in soft live games somewhere, how often do you see a 4-way multi-way pot get a very wet and dynamic, well, not necessarily wet, but a very dynamic board structure like this, and then someone leading out for 1/3 pot into 3 players? It's very unusual. You can't train for this in solvers or anything like that. You just need to try and have a good game plan. And I use the word game plan, not strategy, because they're very different. In an individual hand, you might have a strategy to exploit a particular opponent, but that's going to be born from an overall game plan that you have. And if your game plan is pretty good and your deviations are good, then you're going to have a very successful time. If your game plan is bad and your deviations are bad, then you're going to have a very tough time. So here we've been led into with top set. I don't think this guy's bluffing in the slightest. If he is, who knows what with. Maybe a hand like Queen Jack suited or something like that. But I just don't think he's bluffing. So there's absolutely no reason to slow play here whatsoever. We could consider calling to try and get this guy to do something spewy, but I think the sensible play here is just to raise our hand. That's not necessarily saying that's what I did in the moment, but upon review, that's what, and I haven't raised. So there you go. This is me having a game plan before I play and then not necessarily executing it as well as I'd like. Because I think raise here would have been better. He's probably doesn't have much of a folding range after he leads out. We wouldn't need to raise very big because, you know, the pot's already very bloated. But I'd like to simply raise there to, I don't know, $4, something like that. And on the turn here now, the four-liner comes home, and this player all of a sudden just wants to lead out for half pot, repping a 7, repping Jack Queen, I guess. Not really doing a good job of repping a 7 because, like, not much 7x3 bets pre. Pocket 7s, maybe, you could say. Obviously, he's chose a bad size for it, etc. But pocket 7s, maybe. Jack Queen would make quite a lot of sense, even though that can c-bet. It should probably c-bet or check raise. Jack Queen probably shouldn't check call, but who knows what people are doing. We're just going to have a call now, I imagine. When Tide finally decides what to do. So this is like pots really, really big. We're getting really, really good pot odds to fill up. And we might even be ahead still. Seems unlikely, but we might be. I don't really see any reason to raise. We raise here, we just run into straights way too often. Yeah, we still get to cooler some other sets. But I think if we like just rip it in here, which would be our only size given the size of the pot, I think we just run into straights way too often when we get called. And then river is an ace. Did you note the speed? This replay is in real time. We're doing it 2x, but literally insta shoved. Come on, Tide, get on with it. Can't make this any quicker either, sadly. So Tide went deep in the tank. And that's as you can also see how quickly I snap called because he's either got Jack Queen or we win, basically. The ace is a brick for all intents and purposes. And as you can see, he just has the 6-4, which has been atrociously played on every street by our opponent. But very nice. On to the next hand. We're in here with the Queen 5 of Hearts. Multi-way closing the action. Easy call. Flop the nuts or second nuts. Check our entire range. Maybe we could consider leading here. The things to think about here that I clearly didn't think about then because I snap checked. How many people are in position to versus out of position? How likely is this flop to get stabbed? And how wet and dynamic is the board? That's typical Hungry Horse coaching there that he teaches people to think about. So when you out of position with like various parts of your range in multi-way pots, they're the three things to ask yourself really. How wet is the board? How dynamic is the board? How many people are to go behind me? And then when you've assembled all that information, how likely do I think it is that this pot will get stabbed at? If we think it is likely to get stabbed at, then we check to check raise with our strong value like this. If we think it's unlikely to be stabbed at, then we need to start considering just like betting out with our thick value and our draws, etc. That's pretty much a very condensed version of how he teaches to play out of position. He goes into way more depth than that. It's really excellent content. I'll put a link to his channel beneath the video too because it's really, really, really good. But here I obviously haven't thought about that. I just bad autopilot, just check range out of position. There are two players to act it behind us. The board's relatively static in that the nuts isn't going to change very much on the turn too often. You know, flushes are probably still going to be the nuts. A straight flush is definitely still going to be the nuts. So the board isn't super dynamic. It is pretty wet though, in terms of like there's lots of other draws out there that don't improve past a king high flush very often, but might improve to a hand that puts some money in. If I had my time again here, I think I would probably still check out a position to two players. Um, Looking to check raise, but I check too quickly for certain. We do get a very quick bet from this player for a half pot. Half pot's a relatively weak sizing on this, but on the speed he did it, it feels like, looking back at this now, it feels like he's just monkey stabbing a lot here. That's not to say he doesn't have strong hands in his range still, but like quick bet, half pot, monotone flop, no thoughts gone into his bet. But I think we probably still want to check raise here and just try and build the pot. We've got a lot of big blinds to get in the middle. Pot's £2. SPR still, sorry, $2. SPR still about 10 at this point. We want to start trying to get that down, so we should definitely raise. Which I do. Villain calls. 10 doesn't change anything on the turn. Hopefully it gives him a straight. That's what we're hoping for. He doesn't change anything from our perspective, but it might give our opponent some two pairs, some straights, etc. No reason to stop betting. We've still got an SPR of 2. So we probably want to bet here minimum, say, if we were to go a half pot, that would leave about 3/4 pot for the river, would it? We go half here, that's going to put 16 in the pot, leave 12 behind. So maybe just a shade over half. Somewhere anywhere between like half and 3/4. I think just to get a nice manageable river SPR. We go with 3/4 and we get shoved on and we obviously have the easiest of calls. Yeah, this hand just plays itself really, doesn't it? Once that flop comes down, he's got the nut flush draw with the gut shot. He turns the nuts. I don't know if he can just call turn and just shut his eyes and call all rivers. Because he's going to run into a lot of flushes in this line. Might check raise a flop and bet the turn. He's going to get stacked by them anyway. I don't know. Who cares? We're probably going to win the pot. We won it twice. And we do win the pot. Trust me, all these pots are not going to be of me winning and just coolering people. I guarantee you that. There's going to be some, maybe not in this video, maybe in the next one, but there's going to be some big pots where it could easily be perceived that I've punted. Here we are with the 8-6 of diamonds. Easy call versus button raise from a pretty weak regular. Just plays 3. I recognise the name. I've seen him loads in the lobby. Just plays 3 tables. Kind of whatever, just a meh reg. And I use the word reg with caution. He could just be a tight fish. I don't know. Anyways, he's c-bet here for 1/3 pot, which is just whatever. Can't read too much into that. We have gut shot and a backdoor flush draw. I think I prefer raising here versus 1/3 pot. Maybe calling versus bigger. Raising versus this size. Just trying to get some direct folds now from all this shit that's just stabbing. Like ace queen, ace king, king, whatever. Just loads of shit that he's going to be. He's probably going to be over stabbing using this size and just try and put pressure instantly on loads of cards that just, loads of combinations that have us beat at the minute because we've got 8 high. I do raise. He calls. We turn an open ender, but when he does bet call the flop, it significantly narrows his range. He might have some traps with 10x, might have some traps with 7s full. Definitely still going to have plenty of overpairs, etc. Like, we're going to run into another phrase that Hungry Horse uses a lot. We're going to run into a brick wall here sometimes with 10x that's trapping us. But we still got equity against 10x. We can still just hit a 9 and win a big pot versus naked 10s. If he's got pocket 7s, we're drawing dead. But, pocket 7s is just a very small portion of his range. And sometimes that will just continue fast playing pre-flop. I think continue betting here for certain. If we check, we're just giving up on the pot. do bet. The man calls. And we river an 8, which... And I'd be interested to see how I play this, because I don't remember this hand. I hope I shove. I don't think the 8's got close to enough showdown value here. Yeah, we are gonna run into that brick wall sometimes with a 10 or with pocket 7s, but pocket jacks, pocket queens, pocket kings, pocket aces, we could put all of those in like a truly, truly dreadful spot. Because how often is this line going to be a bluff? Imagine you're playing in your games. How often is check, raise, bet, over bet, shove, river going to be a bluff on this board? I hope I don't check. I wouldn't be surprised if I do, but I hope I don't. I think like our hand's too weak to try and shut down, and I think we can get loads of folds from like jacks through aces here that finally just fold when we shove for 1.5 times a pot. What's Reggie time from the pass? Can check? That's shit, Reg. I think when we come that far, we just have to shove. I mean, maybe me Snapchat back queens, so he wasn't remotely interested in value betting them. I mean, if we shove there and we get called by queens, so be it. In my opinion, I mean, that's exactly the type of hand we're trying to make fold by the river. So I think I like the way I played the flop. I like the way I played the turn, and I do not like the way I played the river. If I didn't river showdown value, I probably almost certainly would have been all in, but we didn't really river showdown value. So that's a mistake from me, and I'm not very happy about it. Here we have pocket 10s again. We're about to open 5x, I would imagine, due to the answers in the middle, etc. We get 3 bet by someone who was completely unknown to me. 100 bigs deep here. I wouldn't be putting 17% of my stack in pre-flop, but then again, I wouldn't have made it 5 blinds. He wouldn't have made it 17 blinds. I think this deep, we just have a super, super trivial call. We've got to put $1.20 more in the pot. There's still going to be $19 behind. So we're getting like 15 to 1 implied odds. So I think this makes a fine call. Check the flop, bill and bets. 1/3 pot. I could get behind just calling here without just folding here without a diamond. But I do think people in 3-bet pots in general overstab for this small size way, way, way too often, and then just become very face up on turns and rivers. So I don't mind just calling once here and seeing what happens on turns. Turn 7. Now your man checks back, and then ace pops off on the river. Only really improving ace queen, you'd imagine. Ace king should probably double barrel. So, like, what aces are we worried about him playing this way? Probably ace queen, maybe ace jack as well. But he's also going to have a lot of stuff like maybe as low as 9s or 8s. Then jacks and queens. Do we want to turn our pocket 10s into a bluff here? Do we want to bluff catch with them? But bluff catch versus what? Do we really rep much when we bet? Do we care that we don't rep very much, to be honest, against most poker players? Do we care that if we lead here, we don't rep very much whatsoever? I probably shouldn't care. Probably really shouldn't care. I mean, the villain's just got he capped his range on the turn, but now he becomes uncapped again on the river. So I probably don't want to lead into an uncapped range. So just check and see what he does, I guess. I've been unhappy if I bet here because he's uncapped with the ace on the river after being capped on the turn. I do decide to turn my hand into a bluff. I don't like it. We got called by the ace queen, and it's very easy to see how he has that hand. I think he should probably just carry on barreling the turn there. Because I probably would have folded pocket tens unless he made it the size too small. Anyway, we're not here to hold a candle to other people's games. We're here to hold a candle to mine, or shine a light on it, or whatever. Trying to figure out how well I'm executing on the game plan I am trying to still develop and play. Finally, proper hand. I'm going to make it 5x. Get called by fish. So first questions ask myself here. We're out of position. How many players to act in front of us? Just behind us, just one. How wet and dynamic is the board? It's not very wet. There's not many draws out there. The nuts can change on the turn, though, or strong hands can change on the turn. Quite often, there's going to be an overcard to the 10 coming, or any card like 6 through queen can present some straights, etc. So the board isn't particularly wet, but it is reasonably dynamic. So the question we have to ask now is, do we want to check raise or do we want to bet? There's no check call here. I think versus someone playing a 44 VPIP, I think I prefer check raise. They're just going to stab too wide with air, with pocket pairs, with 10x, with 8x. They're going to just stab with a lot of their range here. These bad players, they just like see checks. Probably start thinking, oh, this guy's missed. So they'll either bet for protection, they'll bet too wide as a bluff, etc. I think check raising is my preferred play here. I decided to lead out. Obviously, this can't be anywhere near bad. But I think I would have preferred check raise. Get called. King on the turn. Once we haven't gone for the check raise on the flop, probably just keep betting now. At least on the turn. Doesn't really make sense to go for a check raise now. And our hand's way too strong to check call. And then 7 on the river. So what do we want to be doing from here? We can obviously still value bet our hand, although the 7 does nick quite nicely with the 8-10 on the flop. Like Jack 9 to straight now, for example. 6-9, which probably won't be there, is a straight. 8-7's now 2 pair. 10-7 suited's now 2 pairs. So it does improve Pachinta's some of Pachinta's range, but not enough for me to be worried that we're beat. But then the next question comes is like, do we get lots of thick value from 10x here if we bet? Could there be some king x in his range, like king x of clubs? Maybe. So like, the question is like, do we get more value from betting here, or do we get more value from checking and then Pachinta just betting hands as bluffs or going for too much thin value? Who knows what? Basically the question is, do we get more value from betting and getting called, or by checking and Pachinta maybe value betting too thin, or maybe just having some random bluffs, although who knows what they might be. See, I know how I would have felt in game. That 7 would have felt dirty to me. I wouldn't be surprised to see me check here and just see what size Pachinta goes. That 7 would definitely have felt dirty. But I think just bet like a medium-sized fold to a raise would be my preferred option. Just to put some thought into it, then check. We probably missed a little bit of value from Jack 10 there if we just bet, say, $6 on the river, like 60% pot, 70% pot, we probably get called there quite often. Excuse me. Yeah, that's just an old leak of mine coming back with, oh, don't like that 7 check. I did put some thought into it, decided to check. I think in hindsight, out of game, I think prefer betting 60 or 70. Big blinds. This time we have 2 queens. Absolute whale opens. Button call from who knows what. Squeezing here, absolutely, definitely, and making it like uber large sizes. This is something I do in the club games I play in a lot. But even more so when there's antes involved. But even if there was no antes here, I'd still be going something like 18 big blinds. People just don't fold enough to 3-bets, quite frankly. They don't 4-bet enough to make you sad when you get 4-bet here for 200 big blinds. And they call way too much. And Button's capped as fuck, because if he had anything good, he would 3-bet the 70 VP almost certainly. So just really big here, Reg. I'd like to see if I go to there's already $1.10 in the pot. Like 220, somewhere between 210 and 240. 210 on the smaller side, but whatever. Call, fold. We can't be too worried about the king, where the 70 VPIP is in the pot. We can definitely still see bet here for value from a whole range of hands that doesn't have to include a king. He's just got a raft of hands here that are going to be some kind of draw, pairs, 9x, what have you. King X, although he does have some, isn't an enormous part of his range. My question here is, does our hand perform better as a value bet still, or do we start checking it, trying to get to showdown relatively cheaply, but with enough hand to call some bets? I'd need to know more about this player in general. The 70 VP, yeah, we know he's shit, but and I don't remember the hand. We've had observed him being overly aggressive or overly passive. That would definitely push me one way or the other here, because I don't remember if he was overly passive or overly aggressive. I'm just going to accept whichever decision I went with. Check, turn diamond. I think we can probably start value betting now. There's more hands he can call with single diamond holdings. He's going to be more likely to want to call us down now with bluff catchers, etc. So I think we can definitely get on board with leading here for maybe as much as 75% pot. I just had to just check again. I must have seen this guy do some pretty spewy stuff. Here he's just betting 1/3 pot. Raising would now be an overplay. Jack on the river. We check again. He now bets our pot. We just have the easiest of calls and we get on with our day. And he had the ace-10, and that was a fine outcome. Here we have the ace-jack offsuit. Here, this 32 would make a difference. If he was 32/11, I would not squeeze here. If he's one of these players that in these games that's playing 30-something, 20-something, I think given this passive fish has called on the button, I think we present with a good squeeze spot. Either way, we're going to continue with the hand. If I 3-bet here, this guy would have been a 32 aggressive. If I don't 3-bet, he would have been squeeze, he would have been a 32 passive. He must have been aggressive. Block comes down 10-5 deuce. this is not going to be a remotely scary board for someone playing a 39 VP, which is clearly passive. Do we think we can get them to fold pairs here? Probably not very often. Do we think we can see bet for value? Maybe with a small bet. Do we think we can check call off if he shoves and be in okay shape? Well, if we do check he bets, we're going to need around 33% equity pre-rake to call. We're going to have 25% equity with just our 2 overs, so probably. But what would I like to see myself do? Probably check, to be fair. Or the nuclear option, just put the fucker all in. Because we've got a pot-sized bet left. Yeah, check or shove. There's no small bet in here. Just it's stack shit, isn't there? Check or shove. Don't care which. We went with the shove. Don't know why this hand's made it in here, to be honest with you. It's not really worthy of a review. No one's surprised to see pocket 7 call. And we did not get there. Right, one more hand for this video, then we'll do the rest on a second video. Here we have a proper hand again. Limp, so just big old ISO here. This might be the guy who had the 7s, I'm not sure. ISO complete failure. Apart from we made the person who limped fold and we got called in 2 spots behind. So again, question we ask at multi-way pot, we're out of position. How many players are out behind us? Only 1, meaning it's less likely to be stabbed. How wet is the board? There's some draws out there, good shots. Open enders with the Jack Queen. How dynamic's the board? How likely are that the top of my range likely to like get sucked out on the turn, if you will? Like how often is the nuts going to change? If I had pocket kings here or pocket 10s, how often will they not be the nuts on the turn? Not very often. So the board, it's kind of wettish because it's got some draws, but it's kind of static too. I think probably just bet here. Don't think it's going to get stabbed often enough. We do bet. Probably would have preferred to see me go bigger if we're betting. I mean, I don't mind just betting small out of position, to be fair, but probably would have preferred bigger. Now your man randomly leads out for like whatever the fuck size that is, 130% pot. Question we've got to ask ourselves here is, how often do we think someone check calls his flop and then quickly donks turn for an overbet with a hand worse than 1 pair? That's not to say he's never doing it, but how often do we think it's happening? Put a percentage on it. My guess here is it's happening less than 20% of the time. Maybe less than 15% of the time. So I think we're ahead here, like 20% of the time or less. I mean, I don't know what the fuck he's representing in terms of like what bluffs he can have here. I hope I don't go broke here. Please don't go broke, Reg. Just spite fold, Reg. Just for once in your life, just spite fold. Fold, Reg. Good boy, Reg. That river wouldn't have done me any favours, I don't imagine. If we were behind, if we were ahead on the turn, there's many ways that river would have made us not ahead by the end. I think that fold's fine because this is like, it's just going to be a mega underbluff line. And I very much doubt if it's massively underbluff, we need to beat value. Very much doubt we're beating value on that turn. Yeah, I'm happy with the fold. And that's going to be the end of this video. We've got another I think maybe 10 hands to come. So that video will come out on a different day. But if you have got this far, please hit like. If you enjoy my content and you want to see more of it, do join um, the Facebook group that's linked either in the comments on Facebook or beneath the video on YouTube. Because I make 3 or 4 videos a week on there, and you get to see just how amazingly soft those games are. Just riddled, literally riddled with like loose passive fish, actual epic whales, and then the regs that are all, or nearly all of them, worse than me. So yeah, it's a good club to be in, and you should click the link and then maybe consider applying to join it, and you won't regret it. But we're out of here for now. Thanks for watching. Take care and bye bye for now.